Hello, welcome to the Werewolf Wednesday show on the Horror Syndicate. I'm Seth, and tonight's topic is going to be Werewolf of London from 1935. Um, before I get into that, I do want to say, because I was thinking about this earlier, if you're subscribed to our YouTube, I know lately it's just been me doing this Werewolf Wednesday show, but that's not all uh, what we do here with the Horror Syndicate. Just the other members have had to step away for a little bit. Uh, Ray should be coming back at some point soon. We were supposed to do something, I think, over the weekend, but nothing ever happened, and it was probably for a good reason too. I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. Kind of had some bad news revolving around my cat, so it's been kind of it was kind of a long weekend here. And but yeah, he should be coming back, and we will have other shows. So this isn't just a werewolf centric channel. Just wanted to throw that out there. Not like it really matters, but um, yeah. So last week, Sean, who we call American Sean here because there's two Seans spelled two different ways. He suggested Werewolf of London from 1935, and I actually remembered that was going to be the topic. So yeah, uh, so before I begin, I'll get to a comment, uh, or actually, there's a couple of comments here. It's weird because it's not showing that there's anyone actually watching, but this thing's been weird lately. Um, Sean Sheridan, Irish Sean, as we call him, says R.I.P. Tony Todd. Yes, absolutely. That sucks. First off, oh, recipes Tony Todd. First off, second, never heard of this movie. Third, I liked how some of the acting was bad, but it's basically a TV movie budget, so what it is was good overall. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I think it was fun. I think some of the acting wasn't bad. Like the lead in that wasn't bad. I think some of the iffy acting came from the supporting characters, and again, I didn't like the look of the werewolves in that. But I'm glad you watched it, and we're gonna make a werewolf fan out of you after all. Uh, American Sean says, "Good evening, Seth. Sorry about your cat. Yeah, so like she's still alive, but she's basically gone blind. Like there's like one eye that's like really cloudy and like really kind of like almost like reddish color, and it's been difficult, just seeing her, bump into stuff nonstop, trying to navigate around the house. And then I think she's also going deaf as well because I tried getting her attention the other night, and she acted like she didn't even hear me. So it's been a little sad. And of course, the vets won't be able to get her in until December, and they keep telling us to call every day and see if they can, if they have a last minute thing they can squeeze her in, but it just sucks. But you know, it is what it is. She lived a very long life. Like I had her around the time uh, my oldest was born, so that's over 16 years, and she was not a kitten then. Like she was older then. So yeah, not to bore people with a sob story, but yeah, that it just kind of like put off the whole mood of the weekend. I was kind of having fun Friday night, and then my daughter comes down and tells me about that, and it just kind of yeah, not very cool. So anyway, thank you, I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so uh, tonight gonna discuss Universal's first theatrical werewolf film, uh, Werewolf of London from 1935. Universal did put out uh, a short film in 1913 called The Werewolf. However, that film is apparently lost. Apparently, the print went up in flames. in like 1924. So unfortunately, don't have that to compare. But yeah, so Werewolf of London is interesting because naturally it came out before the Wolfman, the 6 years before the Wolfman, and it's overshadowed by the Wolfman. When people think of the old Universal classics, more people think of the Wolfman. A lot of people, I, from what I've seen, maybe not you guys, the horror experts, but there's a lot of people who think the Wolfman was the first Universal werewolf film. It's not. It's predated by this, and I can kind of understand why. So I do like Werewolf of London. I think it's a good movie. Lots of good stuff in it. But the main character doesn't quite have the charm of Lon Chaney Jr. And, and while it is tragic in its own right, it's not quite as tragic. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah. So what is this movie about? It actually begins in Tibet with a botanist named Wilfred. It's on the tip of my tongue. Glenson, I think that's his last name. Played by Henry Hull, and he is looking for a very rare and strange flower that kind of gets its strength from the moon. It blossoms in moonlight, and while there, he's kind of warned not to go looking for it. This makes my next week topic like I'm actually I know what I'm doing next week now because of rewatching this film. Like I haven't seen this film in like 2 years, and now that I have it, it solidified my next topic because there are similarities. But anyway, I'll get to that towards the end. So he does wander off with his assistant. They begin to experience some strange things. Like his assistant feels like someone pulling on his feet. There's at one point where he feels like he was hit by someone, but so some strange stuff starts happening. And then when he finds the flower, uh, a werewolf comes out and attacks him, scratches him or bites him on the arm, and he stabs at it and he manages to get this rare flower, which I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce the name for, um, and then brings it back home to London, and he begins his experiments, but he eventually turns into a werewolf, and he learns from another man who's also seeking this flower, who met him in Tibet, that this particular flower can provide an antidote, I can't speak, to anyone who is inflicted uh, with the curse of lycanthropy. So, and at the same time, he's I feel like they didn't really. Maybe I missed something because I was kind of like in and out of rewatching it tonight for various reasons with stuff here. Um, I almost kind of felt like uh, because he's, and I could be wrong on this, but because he's a werewolf now, he's a lot more uh, aggressive, and it brings out his darker side. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he's just an asshole to begin with. But yeah, he has some. He's a little controlling of his wife, and then there's a little bit of jealousy there when someone that she used to be with comes back, and yeah. But anyway, he turns into a werewolf and kills. So I think it's a pretty damn good movie. If you're a werewolf fan, it's definitely worth watching. I think there's got a lot of really good ideas there. This actually would be a decent one to remake, um, because this is one, it's a lesser known story than, say, The Wolfman, and The Wolfman is now being remade for a second time. By the way, there's a new trailer for The Wolfman out. I can talk about that a little bit later. Um, but I think there's a lot of really interesting ideas in this particular movie that they could explore and expand upon. Um, as far as the look of the werewolf, so Jack Pierce did the makeup effects, and the design is not as good as the Wolfman, right? But I think the makeup effects are fine, and I think the overall design is kind of fine. It's like pre-Wolfman, it's not nearly as much detail, but it's still pretty cool looking. So, you know, oh, what can I say? I do enjoy this. Again, I feel like the main character, um, because he is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assholish. Um, this doesn't hit you with the tragedy like Lawrence Talbot, right? Um, but I think it's perfectly perfectly fine. It's worth a watch, absolutely, especially if you're a werewolf fan and if you're interested in seeing a werewolf film that came out before the Wolfman. Um, uh, this has been included in a lot of Universal's physical media releases of the Wolfman um, since back when the hell did Van Helsing come out? Oh four. Because I remember actually I have it somewhere, I think downstairs, but they put out the legacy collections of the Universal monsters, and with the Wolfman they included Werewolf of London and She-Wolf of London, even though they're not tied to the Wolfman or Larry Talbot at all. The strange thing is just because Larry Talbot's story continues on with all the crossovers, so you never really got actual sequels, no actual Wolfman sequels. But yeah, so if I don't know if this is probably streaming somewhere. You could probably find it on like Tubi or maybe you could find it on Prime, whatever. But if you do have any of the Legacy Collection DVDs or Blu-rays of the Wolfman, this should be on it, and I think it's worth a watch. So, have any of you guys seen it? Let me know. I'm gonna say I saw a little bit. I can't even speak. I see that I got some more comments here that I'm going to go through. Uh, yeah, I guess I missed quite a bit. uh, let's see. Okay, here we go. Sean Sheridan says, getting your pat put down. Sorry to hear that, dude. Still 16 is a good age for a cat. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's older than 16, too. Um, and I'm just hoping that maybe there's some sort of, you know, reasonable explanation, maybe some sort of medication or something that we can do. She's still moving around a lot. Uh, I just wish there was something I could do. It's kind of tough watching that. Fingers crossed. So far, don't have to put her down. I really don't want to do that. Sean Denson says had my Aussie Shepherd for 18 years. It broke my heart to put her down. I feel your pain. Yeah, I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that. But I mean, I got to face reality at some point, right? They don't live forever, unfortunately. We need like a a real life Victor Frankenstein who can like figure out ways to like make pets immortal, right? Hit the thumbs up if you agree with me. Scott Walker says, "Hey Seth, how are you this week, my brother? In-law Nathan got into a really bad motorbike accident. He broke his elbow and knee. He already had a back injury, and it made it worse. Ooh, sorry to hear that. Hope he gets better. That's terrible." With the Werewolf of London, is there more similarities with the Wolfman or similarities in American Werewolf of London? More similarities with the Wolfman. Uh, it's you know it's more it doesn't turn into a full on wolf. It's like very much Wolfman in terms of like the way that the character looks, uh, the way it's designed. Like the makeup effects aren't quite as extreme, so there's a lot more of like the you know the the human facial features, but you got the sharp teeth on the bottom, the the hair and all that. But yeah, it's more in common with the Wolfman. Remember what I told you earlier about my brother-in-law years ago? A ton of steel fell on top of his head, and that's how he injured his back. Since this motorbike accident made it worse. Yeah, I bet. Oh, that's terrible. That's bad luck. Truckopedia, how you doing, my friend? Says, "What's up, everyone? What is up with you, Truckopedia?" American Sean says, "I thought Hull did a good job in the role, and the plant angle to cure lycanthropy was brilliant." I absolutely agree. I agree with that. I think what I was saying about the character, Hull, I think did a good job portraying that character, and again, too, like I don't need him. Like I guess I'm walking back my complaint about the character not being quite as likable, but the character doesn't need to be like Larry Talbot. I mean, it works for this character, and absolutely the idea of the plant, this rare plant that pulls its strength from moonlight, being sort of like an antidote for lycanthropy, really cool, really cool and interesting idea. And I think that's what makes this film stand out. And that's why it also kind of makes it almost like a shame that it's like not talked about enough. Like I feel like this is a worthy werewolf film to watch. But I absolutely agree with you, man. I've seen the design of the werewolf for the new Wolfman movie coming out. It's a cross between the Ginger Snaps, where Werewolf of London and the original Wolfman. Kind of, I guess. I'm not really sold on the new Wolfman though, as far as like the design goes, but I'm waiting to see how it looks in action with more, I guess, more detail than what I've seen. Uh, Sean Sheridan says the Wolfman that will be watched in the next few weeks, as I want to put the Universal Monster movies on the checklist of watch franchises. I saw it once, but it's been years, and my memory is fuzzy. Oh, that's right. You said right. You said that you haven't seen the Universal Monster films, right? Yeah. So when you do, uh, check this one out as well. How are you watching? Do you own them? Or I can't remember if you said that you own them or if you're just finding them on like streaming or something like that. Just let me know. CT Salem, hey Seth, my guy. What is up, CT, my guy? Hope all is well. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pronounce that, man. Maraphasa lumina lupina. Did I get it right? Let me know if I got it right. If I didn't, I guess I'll have to practice that. Uh, what are the chances they could did a Werewolf of London sequel, or they did a crossover with the Wolfman and the Werewolf of London, one of the Wolfman sequels? I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like in maybe some ways, Werewolf of London and the Wolfman could take place in the same world, possibly. Um, but yeah, I can't remember where, but I watched the transformation in American Wolf in Paris. God, you can't top that. I saw it on YouTube somewhere. American Wolf in Paris, huh? That's quite the movie with quite the effects, huh? Van Helsing came out in '05, but Wikipedia says '04. Yeah, it's like one of those two. Yeah, like at that time they put out the Legacy Collection uh, uh, sets on physical media, which I still have. I have the DVD versions, and then I have the Blu-ray versions, and then I got like the individual Blu-ray steelbook Blu-rays of Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein. I'm a huge fan of the Universal monsters, so on top of werewolves and other things, I'm a huge fan of a lot of things. London, excuse me, Paris is science garbage along with everything else in that. Okay, yeah. I was kind of wondering if you messed up there and you meant to say London, but yeah, that transformation cannot be topped. Haven't seen this movie since I was in my 20s. I'm 40 now. We're same age, I guess, right? Well, I'm 41, but yeah, remember liking it fine. Obviously, not my favorite scene as long as it's been so long. Yeah, that's kind of the thing here too. Like as much as I like this movie, it's not one I'm probably gonna put in again for a while. You know what I mean? Like when I'm reaching, especially if I'm like in the mood for like old school. I'm obviously gonna go with the Wolfman, and Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's worth checking out again because like when I watched it tonight, it was like the first time in like I want to say 2 or 3 years since I've seen it, and I remembered some things here and there like as they were happening, but for the most part, there's a lot I didn't remember about it. So it was kind of like a pleasant watch to catch up with it again. I got that movie in my collection, but I still liked that Wolfman movie a lot more myself, boss. Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Wolfman is way better. But I think this is a fun watch. You got it in your collection. Do you have the Legacy collection set, or do you just got like an individual copy of it? Scott and his fight. Who will win in a fight between the Wolfman and the Werewolf of London? Wolf. Uh, the Wolfman. I think the Wolfman would. Well, actually, I don't know. Um, that's actually a good question. Because I think with uh with Dr. Glenson's character being a little bit more uh, of an antagonist in comparison to Larry Talbot, who was a lot more innocent, didn't want to. He couldn't take what was happening to him. His conscience couldn't take it. Maybe the Wolf from Werewolf of London because it's a little bit more aggressive. What do you think? I probably rent this movie. I checked it on Tubi. Oh, uh, Sean to Scott saying, "Sorry to hear about your brother, dude. Yeah, it's terrible." Kathy, hello. Haven't seen it for many years. It's worth rewatching if you can find it. I probably should have looked into it before I jumped on to see where it was, if it was available to watch anywhere. Of course, I can't do that because I'm using my phone for this. Because my lazy ass still hasn't gotten a computer yet. But yeah, Sky, you know what would have made the Wolfman a lot better? They used that Tuna and Shepard as the main wolf when they use Symphony Attack on Jenny character. Don't you agree? Uh, Yeah, I suppose. Check video. Hope your brother will be okay. Saying that to Scott. I'll say it now. Watching some of the Hellraiser movies were hard, but Paris is bottom 10 movies I have seen easy. I mean, I have. I mean, we talked about this before. I have a little bit of a soft spot for American Wolf in Paris. It doesn't offend me, even as a huge American Wolf in London fan. CGI is terrible. The script is not very good, but I still kind of have fun with it. It's hard to say. I mean, there's some Hellraiser sequels that would take over American Wolf in Paris, but there's others that no way. American Sean says, "Good evening to Kathy. Hope you're well." And Seth, originally the actor vetoed Pierce's makeup idea because it would have made him unrecognizable. Pierce's makeup idea was that he did on chin. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, there's something about like actors that don't like covering up their faces. Uh, besides Lon Chaney Jr., who's a goat. Kathy says hi to Sean. Hope you're doing well. Sean says close enough, Seth. On my translation, on the name of the flower. If it's close enough, I'll take that. Sean Sheridan, I own all the Universal monster movies, the original 8 or so. I never heard of this one. I'll rent it on YouTube. So far, only Dracula watched. Okay. Let me know what you think of them. Actually, you know what, Sean? As you watch them, I want you to do a ranking. Rank them all, goddammit. That's your assignment. That's your mission if you should choose to accept it. How about that? With the werewolf designs in American Werewolf in Paris, what can they set to the original designs from the original movie instead of what they did? I mean, they could have gone practical. Um, there's CG just, you know, CG can be good in certain areas to help certain things out that you can't do. But when you see CG, you know it's CG. And like, how is it that in 1981 with American Werewolf of London, you have the most amazing practical effects work ever, and the werewolf looks good, and you have something that your actors can react to, right? Your actors are there; they see it, they can react to it. With CGI, they have to, kind of use their imaginations. They don't have that visual reference. There's so many better things you could do with practical, and that's what I don't understand about American Wolf in Paris is like you're doing a quote unquote kind of sequel, kind of not. You're following up American Wolf in London. You're using a title that invokes that original film, and you don't do like one of the best things about that film, which is the practical effects. It's a tragedy. It is. I'm sorry. I'm just a lot of all the comments came through, and it kind of threw off where I was at. Um, so I'm just going back to where I left off. Okay, here we go. Uh, American Sean says doing good. Thank you for asking. To Kathy. Um, Irish Sean says Dracula was good. Shows its age though. Probably a one-time watch. I love that film. Uh, I was obsessed with it when I was a kid. And then I got the VHS when they did the re-releases in like 1999, and like uh, they had this version of Dracula you could watch with a Philip Glass. Well, it was Philip Glass and the Kronos Quartet. They did a new score for it, and that's the version I watch. I've heard from other people they prefer the original version, um, but yeah, I love that film. Glad you watched it. Glad you liked it. And yeah, it's like uh, what, almost 100 years old. Like I said to you last time, I would love to see all the werewolves and all the movies come together. One big American Werewolf in London, Genocide of Wolfman, then House of Werewolf and Batman. I mean, that would be cool. Kathy to Sean, you're welcome. Scott to Irish Sean. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Scott says, oh, it's not popping up. You know something, Seth? You know a lot about werewolf movies and werewolves. Why didn't she get into the movie business and make your own werewolf film? This old remakes of the original films. Um, yeah, I wanted to. I I've been doing screenwriting for a long time. Learned the craft in high school, and just kind of kept going on it on my own. I did go to a school for film and video. However, I'm a dumbass, and too much time partying, not enough time studying, because like the first like what was it, like the first couple semesters especially, it's all like all the basic classes, like there's a couple of things sprinkled in. I had an editing class and a lighting class, but like it was a lot of the boring classes as well, and I didn't take it seriously enough, and then uh, I was basically kicked out for low grades. Came back home, got a job, made some babies, and here I am. But I would love to make a world film. I have a particular story that I've been, I'll say, developing since I was like 19. Here I am, like 41 now. Um, because the idea just kept changing and evolving. Actually, it was the second full length script that I wrote. The first full length script I wrote was because when I was in high school, I was doing a lot of shorts, a lot of, 5 to 10 page short film stuff. And then uh, after I graduated high school, I wanted to do a full length. I wanted to do the complete, 90 to 120 page type. And I was kind of stuck on a couple ideas. So what I did is for my first full length script, I wrote a Friday the 13th fan script. I didn't treat it like fan fiction. I treated it like, okay, this is what I would, this is something like, it wasn't all. I mean, I guess there was some references and shit like that because I was a kid of sorts then, but I took it very seriously at the same time. But as I got towards the third act of that script, I had this strong itch to do my own original idea, and so the second full length script that I wrote was a werewolf script. And over the years, I rewrote it a couple times. I have a couple different drafts of it, and then the idea just kept changing. I kept expanding upon the lore I was establishing, and then I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted to do it, pursue it as continue pursuing it as a script, or if I wanted to do a novel or do it as a comic book. And I just got to get it done. I just got to get it done. But yeah, I would love to make my own werewolf film, or even at this point write a book. I think yeah, that'd be cool. American Sean says another fun fact about this film. Anyone want to guess which two actors almost were in this? Karloff and Lugosi. Oh, that'd be awesome. Although I do have to say, I do like who they got. Um, remember how I told you about Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman? How do you found it? Have you watched it? Trust me, you'll get a good laugh out of it. I have not. I have not pulled the trigger on that one, my friend. I should. When is Wolfman coming again? Was it? Is it January? It's January, February. Jesus Christ! I watched the there was a new trailer that dropped today, and I watched it earlier. Like I watched it probably like 45 minutes before I went live, and I can't remember the release date. It's either January or February. Um, so that should be a fun one. Seth, is it in the Universal box set? I think it should because if I remember correctly, that if it's what I'm thinking, the Universal box set has all the different legacy collections in there, and within the Wolfman Legacy Collection, you'll find Werewolf of London and She Wolf of London. Sean Sheridan. To be woke for a second, is there any female werewolf movies, you being the expert on this? Yes. The Ginger Snaps trilogy, very female centric. Um, then there's other movies with like female werewolves in them, like the Howlin' series has female werewolves. The movie that came out in I think 2014 called Wolves with Jason Momoa. Um, there's female werewolves in that. Um, but I think Ginger Snaps is probably the more full on. It's the more full on one that I can think of. Um, yeah, I mean, you were woke for a second. Now go back to sleep. Mm. Scott, prayers for your brother. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Sean also says prayers for your brother. Look at that. We got a support group here for everybody. Um, Scott says, remember how I told you about that fan made America? Oh, that's right. Uh, man, I even wrote that down. But know what happened? I put the notebook away, and now I have no idea where it's at, or even what notebook it is, because I have a shitload of notebooks around here. So I'm gonna have to probably write that down again, and maybe rip the page out and put it somewhere where I don't lose it. Um, yeah, I'll try to do that before the show's over tonight. If actually I could find a notebook. Um, Chuck Beatty wasn't the original plan for Paris to have the main character be the child of the characters from London. Yes, yes. From what I understand, the original intent of Paris was that Seraphine was supposed to be the daughter of Nurse Alex Price and David Kessler, and they for some reason decided not to do that, and I don't recall why. Sean Sheridan says a ranking. Sure, why not? That's the spirit, pal. That's the spirit. Years ago, I saw American Werewolf in Paris on Foxtel. Years ago on Showtime. That's when I first saw the movie. Scared the hell out of me, but I love it. Glad you liked it. Sean Denson says practical is best. CGI should only be used if absolutely necessary. 100% agree. Um, Skywalker says, I saw an interview with Matthew Lillard. They asked him about Scream 7. Sorry, I might be in the movie, but I'm not going to say anything. Is that a clue that he is in the movie at all? No, I don't think. I think by him saying that, I think that confirms he's not in the movie. Um, I feel like if he was in the movie, they would want to keep it such a secret, like that he wouldn't even hint at it like that. So I think he's not in it at all. I think he wants to be, but I don't think he's been contacted about it. But I could be wrong. We'll find out when Scream 7 comes out, like next year, I think. Sean Sheridan says, I'm not against watching old movies, but I'm not like Nate, where I love this movies from the 30s, 40s. They're hard to sit through. Some of them I appreciate. Most old school movies, didn't like them. It's understandable. I guess like at that point, for me, I kind of like grew up on a lot of them. So like when I was a kid, my parents introduced me to the old Universal monster films quite early on. Um, so I enjoy old stuff. Um, I mean, I had a blast. A couple months ago, I was going through all the George Reeves Superman, all 6 seasons of the George Reeves Superman show, and I just love like the way things were back in the past. Um, they're kind of fun. You just have to kind of get in the mindset, I suppose, of this is things were different. But a lot of I have a lot of fun watching old stuff, even listening to like old music and stuff like that. Um, it's fun. It's fun for me, but I understand where it's not for everyone. There's a lot of people who can't. There's a lot of people who can't watch black and white movies. It is what it is. Casablanca and It's a Wonderful Life from the golden oldies. Let's say that's why I love that era. Yeah, especially It's a Wonderful Life. Great movie. Jimmy Stewart's awesome. Hell, I don't even like Citizen Kane. Wow. I like Citizen Kane, but I haven't watched it since. I don't think I've watched it since college. I had to watch that one a lot. Like, so when I was in high school, I was in a class called video production. I had to watch it. When I did community college in my town after high school, I had to watch it for a film studies class I was in. And then when I went to uh, uh, the New England Institute of Art in Brookline, Mass, just for the couple semesters before my dumbass got booted. Um, for a couple of the classes I had, we had to watch it. It's a classic movie, and I do remember liking it. I have it. It's just not a movie I reach for. But that might be a fun one to revisit at some point. Um, just me. Um, Scott says, with your honest opinion, what would make a good female werewolf film? A good script. Don't worry about the. Don't worry about the. Uh, don't make the gender thing the main thing. Make the story and the characters the main thing. Have good, strong characters. Um, you know, Ginger Snaps is an exception to that because what Ginger Snaps did brilliantly was they tied it to uh, puberty and all the changes uh, that females go through. But I think especially in today's climate where everything is so over the head with some sort of message, as far as beating you over the head, that was my gesture. Um, I would say just focus on characters and story first and foremost, um, and you can have subtle. You can do subtle things if you have some sort of message. I would say study George Romero, learn how to tell get messages in a story in very subtle and nuanced ways. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that subject. I don't pretend to be. Um, Where's your knowledge of werewolf movies if they did a remake of American Werewolf in London, but a female version? Do you want to see the same story or different storyline? If they want to do uh, a companion piece or maybe a direct sequel with female characters, I'll be fine with that. I just don't want to see a remake of American Werewolf in London. I feel like there's more you can explore with that world. Um, you know, with the slaughtered lamb and the people of East Proctor and um, yeah, I feel like there's so much that they could do with that. I mean, where there you could even get a little sneaky and do like this storyline of, hey, so and so was at Piccadilly Circus when David Kessler's werewolf went berserk and they got wounded, and you know what I mean, something like that. But I just don't want to see a direct remake. Sean says, totally off topic of werewolves, but what's with the horror syndicate's hatred for Freddy vs. Jason? Um, it's a film that hasn't aged well. So I'll just I'll put it this way. I like that film better than Ray and Nate. So like on the rankings that went up that Ray put up, those were like a combined ranking of all three of our lists. So basically, all three of us, our lists are pretty different from one another. I think with the Elm Street films, we're very similar in a lot of ways, but we're also very different in a lot of ways. But you know, Ray has been outspoken for a while that he doesn't like Freddy vs. Jason. It has aged terribly for him. He just doesn't get enjoyment out of it. I think Nate is kind of almost the same way, where it's like this was exciting back in like '03, but watching it now, just some of the dialogue and some of the acting and some of the stuff that happens in it, um, I still kind of have fun with it. But I mean, honestly, I can't like as far as like the Elm Street films, I can't rank it very high, mainly because I love a lot of the Elm Street films. I adore that series, and in comparison to the first four or New Nightmare, um, I would put all of them above it. I think I even put Dream Child above it. Dream Child is a film that I have issues with, but like I give it a little bit of credit. So Alice Johnson's like my favorite final girl. But yeah, I mean that's the story for that. Ray has been outspoken about not liking that movie for a long time now. Nate also feels like it's aged terribly. I think I ranked it higher than both of them on my list, but still not very high. Um, I think it's fun, but it's very flawed as well. Uh, but and like I feel like I gotta like when I rank it uh, either on the Elm Street side or the Friday the 13th side, I gotta like put them. I hold them to different. I hold that same movie to different standards with each franchise because I feel like it is a better Freddy movie than it is a Jason movie. It's terrible on the Jason side, just my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean I've seen a lot of comments about our rankings. I get it. Everyone's different. And some people are very protective of their opinion. But yeah, I guess it's just how it is. Awesome. Thank you, Seth. I own that box set. Yeah, hopefully yeah, I'm thinking of the same box set that you have. Um, um, wish there was a way I could like confirm that for you. Um, but if it's like the more recent box set, cool, because there's a couple box sets. There's a box set that has only like the first of every film. So if you got the bigger box set that has like the 32 or whatever amount of films, it would be in that. If you have like the smaller box set, um, it would only have like 8 films in it. So I don't know which version you have, but hopefully you have the version with this in it. Oh, Wikipedia, January 2025, Wolfman. Just looked it up. I couldn't remember it either. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sean Sheridan says, I watched Ginger Snaps like 3 months ago, and the girl in Dog Soldier shows how bad my memory is. Bad, the wolf thing was a joke. No, I know, I got that. Do you think we could talk about the London lycanthrope? Do you think you can do a YouTube video and talk about it one day in the future? Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely consider that for a topic. Um, and if you know any other like sort of like indie or fan made werewolf films, I could do a video on numerous ones, so I can do that and then talk about a couple others at the same time. Not a bad idea, my friend. First off, a TV landed on Stu's head and Scream would do him and Dude's Head being a heavy TV set. Oh yeah, kind of feel the same way. Scott says, everybody in this channel, I want to say thank you very much for your present support for me and my family. Thank you very much. Beware the moon. Much appreciated. Um, yeah, we got a good little group here. Chuck B says, second, with Alien Romulus and other movies going more to practical effects, it feels like they're getting away from the CGI. Thank goodness. I hope so. I really have that hope for, especially with werewolf films. I was hoping we'd be getting a lot more. Like I know I heard that the new film Werewolves that's coming out in December uh, is mostly practical, but I've seen some stuff like some. Uh, you could tell in the trailer there's certain CGI moments, and hey, if they do it sparingly here and there, cool. Um, but absolutely, just get back to practical, please. Chuckapedia says, Scott, I hope your brother will be okay. More support. Kathy says, George Reeves is my favorite Superman. He is my number two. Um, I loved his performance in that. It was such a different side of Clark Kent that I've ever seen. He's much more confident. He's very much more like almost nonchalant about his secret identity. And he was like, yeah, George Reeves is great. He's my second favorite, right behind Christopher Reeve. I would say my third is Tyler Hoechlin from the new show, Superman and Lois. But yeah, George Reeves is awesome. Sean says I was only allowed to watch Universal and Hammer films at my grandparents' house. Yeah, that's maybe not so much Hammer, but like the Universal films, I think are good for like kids, like sort of like a prerequisite for getting kids into horror. I showed like when my kids were real little, uh, they begged me to watch, Chucky stuff like that, but I wouldn't let them. But I showed them, Dracula and the Wolfman, and they loved them back then. And Creature from Black Lagoon, especially, they loved them. Of course, now, my oldest daughter is like too cool for school, so she's like, "Oh my God, it's black and white, teenagers." But yeah, I agree. Scott says, I think Matthew is in the film, but he's not saying anything to anybody about it. They want to keep it a secret and a surprise, just like Tobey Maguire in the Andrew Garfield situation. That's what I think. I just don't know from Matthew's comments. Yeah. You against the idea of different color Ghostface robes, brown, red, and white. I've seen pictures of red and brown Ghostface robes. It looks so cool and scary. What do you think about the idea? Um, I don't know. I'd have to see them. I have to see them in context. I think a white one would be really cool. Like if they did a full on winter movie. I mean, Scream 6, they finally went to the East Coast, so um, I think that'd be kind of really neat to see, like during a snowstorm, all white robe. Uh, but I don't know. Same thing. I appreciate Citizen Kane, but not for me. I get that. Sean says I think King Kong is better than Citizen Kane. I'll die on that hill alone if I must. King Kong, the original from the 30s or the 1970s remake. Bitch, Kathy wants to know the same damn thing. Scott says, remember how I told you ages ago, I am sick and tired of all the sexism in the movie business. We need more female werewolves in films. There are more male werewolf films. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Sean says the original. And Kathy says that's also her favorite. The original's really good. Irish Sean says, I would agree. I watched Freddy vs. Jason a few months ago. It went from 3 star to 2.5. I can't still watch it, but let's be honest, it's a gimmick. It's totally a gimmick. Kathy, I'm not a Freddy fan. Hogan, I'm very curious about that. I'm not saying you're wrong, just wondering. Um, Sean says King Kong was a masterpiece of cinema, Kathy. Cinema, as Martin Scorsese would say. Oh, yes, I still cry when Beauty kills the Beast. Sean Sheridan, G Master should have ended the series. Dream Master was declining quality from Dream Warriors. Still saw a movie, but the decline had begun. I mean, I'm a Dream Master fanatic. It's my favorite sequel. So I am not going to listen to your slanders. I'll stick my fingers in my ears and say la 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 la. I mean, a lot of people feel the same way as you. I got very big soft spot for Dream Master, so it is what it is. Sean Benson says I have Freddy vs. Jason right in the middle. I rank 2, 7, 1, and 3 higher. Yeah, but not 4, huh? You son of a bitch. Chuckopedia, I feel bad for the writers of Freddy vs. Jason. You can tell they didn't write the Afraid of Water or Kelly Rowland scenes, and it was taken away from them. Yeah, I mean that was like sort of like the big thing that kind of like put me off from like pursuing screenwriting is the fact that what's on screen isn't always the writer's original vision because the script is no longer yours. It's owned by a producer or studio. And then you got actors, directors, producers. Everyone wants to stick their dick in the pie, and everything gets so changed up. And then when it's and a lot of times too, there's a lot of like changes to script and like the changes like those people aren't credited for writing. You're credited for the writing. So then when it turns out to be terrible because of other people's ideas, you get the blame. But if your script is good, you don't get the credit. The director gets the credit. So, yep. Seth, I think there's 4 in my box set. So the box set I'm thinking of, it would the bigger box set that I'm thinking of would have the legacy collections of Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Invisible Man, The Mummy, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula. And then it would also include um, an individual of Phantom of the Opera as well. So maybe just double check your box set, okay? Double check your box set. There should be somewhere. Maybe it's on the back that lists all the movies, or you may have to kind of open them up. But I'm very curious if you have that set now. I'm really invested. Um, I do really like Monica Keena as is Lori. She's one of my favorite Final Girls. The rest of the cast are stock slasher characters, not great. Yeah, so I thought she was okay. The problem I have with her character is she is such is so derivative of Sydney Prescott from Scream. Um, yeah, I think the one character that annoys me the most is the one that's like a blatant ripoff of Jay from the Kevin Smith movies. Like it's like, man, have a fucking original thought in your head. And two, that's it's a stereotype of stoners. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Kathy, have you seen Son of Kong or Mighty Joe Young? Do you think they'll do an actual sequel to Werewolf of London? A long way to sequel with the characters. What about that young guy who went with David and Jack about the Moors? I don't know. Don't know, man. I would love to read the script that John Landis wrote in the '80s. Like he wrote a sequel script that was rejected. Why? Don't know. Sean Sheridan says Ray's dislike of Nolan, though that confuses me. Though it seems any movie he does, he hates. Although fair enough, everyone has different tastes. Yeah, I think it's just Ray is a massive, massive Batman fan, and I think, and I can feel it too with the stuff that Matt Reeves is doing now, where it kind of feels like people are kind of over the whole grounded, ultra realistic thing. We just want Batman to be Batman. Um, I like the Nolan films just fine. I love the Matt Reeves film, The Batman, and the show The Penguin. So I'm kind of fine with that, but like I totally understand where Ray's coming from. Um, because he's very protective of that character, and it can be a little off-putting for a fan of any superhero to see their hero be done in such a grounded, realistic way where it just kind of takes away the appeal of the comic book character and action. Sean, yes, they are classics. Remember when Joe saves that little girl from the burning building? I grew up with black and white TV shows. There's a YouTuber named Denisha Lane. I asked people about a black answer being Ghostface in a future screen film. Offended when I asked that. I have no idea who that is. Or you wanted? I'm a little confused. You wanted okay. I don't know. Sean says he will hate me for this, but so be it. No one is the best director I have seen. I don't love all his movies, but his hit record is fantastic. He doesn't have a bad or even mediocre movie. I love Christopher Nolan's films, the ones that I've seen. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I know. I'm a sad little man. And I haven't seen Insomnia yet, but my favorite Christopher Nolan film is Memento. That film just, man, I could put it on right now. Memento fucking rules. And I feel like I'm like one of the only people who actually like Tenet. I know a lot of people trash that film, but I actually really enjoyed that film. I'm kind of glad that he's done with Batman and that he's getting back to doing his. I mean, I know that he did his own individual original stuff in between his three Batman films, but just not doing IPs right now, just doing his own original works. That's the best thing for him to do right now. I actually need to rewatch the Giant Ape films, Kathy. I barely remember it, but it's not burning my brain. Don't hate me. Do you think it's too late to do a long-awaited sequel, Werewolf of London, with the same storyline and characters, but a female version? Which characters from the slaughtered lamb alive? At this point, just let American Wolf in London be standalone. And I know technically it is, technically isn't because of American Wolf in Paris, but yeah. Matthew Lillard, I think, is still doing the voice of Shaggy for Scooby Doo animated movies and shows, so he is keeping busy, which is awesome. Yeah, still gets work, right? Kathy says, Sean, no hate. Hope you enjoy watching them. So, uh, Jolene says, if Matthew is in Scream 7, hopefully it's just some flashback scenes because he definitely died in Scream. I made a joke about it, like on my own. I think I actually made a joke in the comments on one of the posts that Ray did on the Horse and Gets Facebook page, but I also made the thing on my own Facebook page of like the only acceptable way that Stu could still be alive, and I just like basically just mentioned the opening of Jason Lives, but with Sydney instead of Tommy, and then Stu instead of Jason. It was just a joke, but I thought it was kind of humorous. Seeing pictures of the red and brown Ghostface robes. Look the internet right now. Um, Brown's an ugly color, man. It's the color shit. I don't know. I don't like brown. Um, I think that'd be a weird color for a robe. Maybe it would work. I don't know. Kathy says, Seth, for some reason, I just never got into the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I'm definitely a Jason fan. Understandable. Definitely understandable. Sean says, I like Dream Master. Let's be clear, I watch it a bit. Actually, the first four, I just have some issues with it. There are some that hate Dream Master, so I'm on the good side here. That's true. That is true. Sean says he's probably going to watch Mighty Joe Young tomorrow. Kathy says to enjoy. Kathy says she will check the box. I feel like I'm like very far behind on comments. Jolene says you should make your movie idea into a novel. So it stays the way you want it. Maybe it would be taken on as a movie later. That's very true. And that's sort of like been my mindset. I just gotta like I just gotta sit down and fucking do it. You know what I mean? I just gotta do it. Um Scott, if they did a sequel to American Werewolf from London, I will have to see police investigation to the place, interview locals and everything, and the doctor is helping the cops. Good idea. Yeah. Sean says, I will Kathy and Seth for is just below Freddy vs. Jason. It's still a good movie, it's just not great. Um, Watch Your Goddamn Mouth 4 is a great movie. And you're in timeout. Go sit in the corner for 5 minutes. Think about what you just said, and then when you come back, I want an apology, and um, and I hope you learned your lesson, young man. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their different opinions. Chuckapedia says, I love Jason Takes Manhattan, but it makes me sad. JJ refuses to acknowledge the movie and refuses to do conventions or interviews, so she's ashamed, but her loss, I guess. Yeah. I mean, missing out, really, great fandom, great opportunities, make a little extra cash. Scott says, Sean, would you like to see a remake, a sequel to American Werewolf of London, and make it a female version, or just leave the story? Which filming locations would you be interested in the most? I would like to see American Werewolf of London filming locations. I would like to see Free Willy locations, Scream, and the Jurassic Park franchise. Ooh, that's a kind of a good question. I'll have to kind of get back to you on that. If I don't get back, I mean, just repeat the question later. A sequel to London, sure, why not? If the script and cast were right, yeah. I would like to see a Blackout to be Ghostface in a future Scream movie, but when I asked this, Denisha got racially offended about the idea. But why would she get offended by that? I don't know. You want to see someone who's black be the Ghostface? Um, Shit, it hasn't been done yet, has it? I don't know. I mean, people get offended by different things. Maybe it's in how you phrase the question. Maybe they just took what you meant to say out of context. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Um, but yeah, will you be okay with black actor being Ghostface or no? Oh yeah, of course. I mean, because Ghostface isn't one person. It's an idea. It's a revolving door. Um, I don't see what would be wrong um, with someone who's black being a being a ghost face. As long as the character is written well and it makes sense, which I mean, some of the ones that we've gotten really haven't. I think the killers from Scream 6, that reveal damn near killed the movie. Um, so I I would just hope for stronger writing and character work and motivations that actually make sense. Uh, okay. Sean Sheridan says Oppenheimer, the jumping around timelines is a bit charmed, but overall good movie. Insomnia is excellent. I've heard Insomnia is excellent. I have it too. I have like this 2-pack DVD that I got from a dollar store not too long ago that has uh, it's a weird combination, but it's got Insomnia and then it's also got The Devil's Advocate, the movie with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. So I do gotta see Insomnia. Um, check it out. It is a basic cop movie and a story about Robin Williams and Al Pacino. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Do you know the movie Alien? There's a Scooby Doo animated Alien with Scooby Doo movie coming out soon. I didn't know that. That's funny. Um, Sean says he's the opposite. I prefer grounded movies much more than fantastical. So I prefer the Nolan Batman movies. I'm not a comic book reader, so I have no nostalgia for how it's done on screen. Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. Sean says, I'm older than you. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Chuckapedia. Agree, man. If I was in a horror film and I had fans, I'd be very happy. Yeah, right? Exactly. Do the convention thing. Charge fans, whatever for a photo op. They'll pay it. Uh, I will always love the werewolves in Underworld. Same here. Same here. It's like Pamela Springsteen. She does interviews, but when people ask her in live chat about sleepaway camps 2 and 3, she ignores the questions and won't even let people ask. Yeah, it's weird. Some people, like especially actors, like they'll take jobs just to take a job, just to get a job, just to get paid. But they are not a fan of the stuff that they do, or maybe they feel shame for it. Um, it's too bad that that happens, especially when you're in something that people love, has a huge fan base for. And there's some people too who, I mean, you got to think too. Everyone's different, so some people are okay with acting in a movie, being on camera, but uh, they just want to kind of live their lives privately, separately. They don't really want to, I guess, embrace the fandoms or just be social. I don't know. It could be a variety of different things, really. But yeah, it's too bad. Jolene says anyone could be Ghostface as long as the costume is the same. Yep, that's the idea, right? Kathy says thoughts on Long Legs. Haven't seen it yet. It is on my list. Everyone tells me I need to see it. There was a period of time where I was like really doing really well with 2024 horror films, and then I stopped a few weeks back. Um, Superman and Lois season 4 came on. Um, Football's been pretty intense, and then just like the beginning of November, I was kind of feeling like also not really in the mood for horror. Just wanted to kind of jump into some other things, which I haven't done really so much. But you know, I've also been catch up on the Penguin, which excellent show. I got like 3 more episodes to watch before I'm all caught up, and goddamn, that show's great. Um, Sean says, but to close my thoughts on the topic tonight, I think this film needs a remake. The idea of a flower curing werewolves is a very interesting take. 100% agree. Chuck Peter says, thanks again for the show tonight. Thank you for joining. I am getting tired. Um, and yeah, I should probably take off in a little bit. I got some more comments to go through, but yeah, I'm almost done for the night myself, my friends. But thank you to everyone who participated. Um, I think I know why she got racially offended, but the idea maybe because the mask was a white mask and the robe was black, maybe. Was you stay at the actual stew house one day and do a live stream there, Airbnb? Yeah, I actually like that house. It's a nice looking house. Watch these YouTube videos and Google ages ago. It said there are many similarities between American Werewolf of London and Ginger Snaps. Do you see similarities? Not really. I mean, with the exception of them being quadrupedal. Kathy says I'm addicted to horror movies. Been watching American Horror Story, COVID. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I watch horror films like all year round, but there's like times where I have to take a break and watch other stuff. And I'm a huge fan of other stuff too. As you know, huge Superman fan. Um, I'm huge into James Bond and Lethal Weapon, and just all this other stuff. So um, I try to bounce around quite a bit. Um, but every once in a while, it's good to take a step away from horror for a couple days. You know what I mean? Sean says, thanks, Seth. Get some rest. Thank you, buddy. And you as well. Rest up. Very welcome anytime. Always happy to watch the show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Have a good night. Enjoy your live. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm behind on watching my westerns. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched any westerns. I was kind of looking at like my movie collection, and there was a couple that was kind of eyeballing. I'm like, maybe I should check them out. Like Silverado, Unforgiven, and then some of the even older ones, the Clint Eastwood ones and shit like that. Look at London Lycanthrope. We'll do Beware the Moon tonight, Seth. Beware the Moon. I will beware the moon, and I'll be ready for it. When I don't watch horror, my guilty pleasure is the Rocky film. Oh, the Rocky films are great. I haven't seen them in forever either. All right, so I'm all caught up on comments, and that'll do it for tonight. So thank you for everyone who watched. The two Sean, Scott, Kathy, Jolene, CT, Salem, Trekopedia. I feel like I'm forgetting people. I don't mean to forget everyone. But anyway, thank you. Next week, I will be back. I mentioned this earlier. There was a movie I kind of locked in for topic next week, and I am doing for next week's episode The Werewolf and the Yeti, aka Night of the Screaming Beast. I think that's the alternate title. The Paul Naschy film from the 70s. I believe it was 70s. Um, as I was watching Werewolf of London, I was just like, man, there are so many, because it's got so many, there's something very, I'll have to talk about it next week. I'll save it for next week. But yes, next week I'm doing the Paul Naschy film, uh, The Werewolf and the Yeti, which you can watch. I think it's on, yeah, it's on Tubi. I believe you can catch it on Prime if you have Prime. But yeah, give it a watch before next Wednesday, and then join me next Wednesday for an episode on Paul Naschy. Um, I'm just going to talk about the one movie. I'm not going to talk about all his films. I'm going to save. I'll do individual ones for each individual movie, but I feel like after watching Werewolf of London, I was like, I need to do Werewolf and the Yeti next. So that is my topic for next week. Thank you for joining. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the thumbs up emoji or the heart emoji. I'm kind of retarded here. You could do the laugh emoji, the care emoji, the angry emoji if you're upset, the sad emoji if you're sad. I feel like I'm forgetting one or two. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up and leave a comment, share this. You know, if you know anyone who likes horror films or horror in general and just wants to watch a dumbass, um, just kind of ramble incoherently while sipping on beer. And yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining. Hope everyone has a great night. I will see you all next Wednesday for The Werewolf and the Yeti. Beware the moon, lads.